Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elevate. My name is Jessica.
My name is Darwin.
Welcome to episode 82.
Let's get it. Today I want to talk about this thread that I saw, and it's 7 patterns in couples who made it.
Who made it so successful, I guess,
relationship according to a couples therapist.
Okay.
All right, so the first one is they had boundaries with family, and just some context.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they put the relationship first and had a clear boundary with family. They didn't vent to them about issues or make decisions based off what their families wanted. They did what was best for their partnership together.
Okay, so I think that is super important. There's many key points on that little paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Read it again. Not telling your family members
About issues.
That is so important. You guys don't even understand.
Facts.
And it's not because, okay.
You're about to go deep.
I understand that sometimes you have issues, right? And you really want advice from someone because you just need an advice, right? You need an outside advice. But you should not be going to someone outside of your marriage or relationship to talk about your problems on a consistent basis, right?
Unless it's a therapist.
Right, unless it's a therapist or someone that's like a third party that really has nothing to do with your partner or yourself. Because when you vent to a person who, let's say your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, they're going to have a biased opinion.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that we can be so upset at something, right, with our partner at that moment that we might even exaggerate the events. So here you are exaggerating, right? Because, you're upset, right? To, let's say, your mom. Now imagine being the mom listening to this, right? Now you are thinking about this man like as the worst man in the world because he's making your daughter really upset, right? And so what happens is, most likely than not, if it's a petty situation, you're going to get over it. You guys are going to make up and you guys are going to move on from it. Right? Like nothing ever happened. But your mom won't. And she's always going to hold that little grudge every time you come to her talking about, oh, he did this and he did that and he did it. And you just being a baby, because sometimes we could be a baby. Like I've never, I mean, you never really do anything to upset me that much. But I'm not the one to be going to anyone, my mom, my dad, my sister, to anyone really. To just talk about little things that I'm upset over. It's just not. I've always thought that it's the wrong thing to do. I wouldn't want you to be going out and talking to your friends, to a family member about every little thing you dislike about what I do.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like, even friends, it's not even just family. Like, I don't feel like people should know your business, period.
First of all, you give that other party permission to gossip about your partner, which in the end says it's a lack of respect for your partner. Put it however you want to put it. It is a lack of respect for your partner. And I know sometimes y'all want things to talk about, like with your friends and stuff. But talk about something else. Find something else to talk about. Like, don't belittle your partner. Unless something really drastic is happening with your partner and you are, like, divorcing. And it's, like, a 100% thing. Not like I'm upset. I'm so upset today. I'm thinking about divorcing him. Like, you're filing for divorce. You shouldn't be talking about your problems with somebody that probably doesn't even have experience in relationships, who doesn't even have a successful one, right? And if you want real advice, again, from a person who is not going to be biased, taking your side or the other person's side, you should either go talk to a therapist or talk to someone, I don't know, in your church, someone who doesn't know. No, actually, not even someone in the church. Somebody
that person can't be next to you.
I feel like it has to be someone who will not be biased.
Yeah.
Who will give you a logical thought process without having a preference of choosing sides.
A person who literally doesn't care about you. Wants to help you, but doesn't care about you.
Right. And also a person who is equipped to give you that type of advice. Because if that person has never in their life had a successful relationship, what are you going to that person for advice for? They haven't even been successful in their relationships. They haven't even been a bit, like stable with anyone. What are you going to them for advice?
How do you feel, now that you mentioned this is a little sidetrack, but how do we know that a relationship therapist has a happy relationship?
Well, if you are a professional therapist, you know that your bias need to stay outside the door. You have to address the.
But how do we know they have a successful relationship?
That's not our business. They're a professional. They should be answering your questions and treating your case from an unbiased point of view. They go to school so that they can talk to people and give objective, direction to that person. First of all, a therapist.
But what if their shit is broken?
A therapist is not even supposed to tell you exactly what to do. A therapist is supposed to guide you so that you can know what's the right choice for you. And then they depending on the conversations you may have with them, they may, give you a different point of view as to maybe why the way you're acting may be unfair, but they're not supposed to tell you, hey, do this, this, and this. They're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to listen to you and give you and guide you in a way where you know what is best for you.
Gotcha.
Also, the reason why you don't want to share with people your problems all the time is because they're going to give you their opinion based on their experience.
Yeah.
So they might have had a relationship that was really toxic with a man that was very toxic, and you may not be with a toxic man. You might just be wrong, right? You might just be viewing things in the wrong way. And so when you tell your story to that person, they're going to give you their opinion from their perspective based on their past experiences. And this is why that's a very tricky thing to do.
That's why I was asking about what if the therapist relationship is fucked up?
Yeah, the therapist, if they're professional, if they're a professional, they're not going to give you an opinion based on their past.
I don't know, man. I feel like feelings are more powerful than professionalism.
They're people, so just
make sure your therapist is not going through some shit.
Just because they're a therapist, doesn't mean that they're not gonna mess up. But
All right. So pattern number 2 was that they were friends. They generally enjoyed spending time with each other. They were excited to come home and catch up after a long day. Friendship was the basis of their relationship.
100%. How many times haven't we said this?
This is a good therapist, whoever that person is.
Is their name available on the thing? Okay. Yeah, I've said this. We've said this in the past, in past previous.
Sorry, it is the holistic psychologist. The holistic psychologist on Instagram.
Awesome. I think that's 100% true. I think that when you have a friendship with your significant other, you're bound to fix things. Mm-hmm. Even if you have problems, you're going to work through it because you're not with that person just for a sexual relationship. Is more than that. And that is what will sustain a relationship for the long run. If you don't feel like you're friends with your husband or wife, I don't know what to tell you. That you might not pass the test of time.
I mean, it's kind of like we always mention about communication. It's like, it's kind of hard to communicate all the time if you guys are not really friends in a way, as well as, obviously a partnership. But then it just becomes like, yo, let's communicate and let's get back to work.
It can't be so technical, It just has to be natural. And so if you're friends with that person, with your wife or your husband, it's gonna come natural because you want to tell them. Why not? Like, don't you want to tell you things to your friend? Like you do. So when you have that type of relationship with your significant other, it just makes it easier to have communication because you just naturally would. It's not something that you sit down and say, you know what, I need to communicate today. Yeah. Like No, like that's what you
You're
do with
meeting at 9.
that's what you do with your friends, right? And so that's why it's important to have a friendship with your partner, because that is what will get you to spend so many years with this person and not get tired of them. Because the butterflies will go away, guys. Like the butterflies go away, and you
Damn, you don't got butterflies for me?
Actually, I still do get butterflies.
Damn, I don't know.
No,
I don't
no,
really
no,
believe it. I don't really believe
no.
it.
But a lot.
Either I don't believe it, or you're lying to them.
No, I'm not. I'm not, because you see.
Nah, you just said it.
Sometimes-
You said the butterflies go away.
What I mean is, it's not so magical. Like at the beginning, everything
Oh.
is like, stop it.
So it's not magical
Stop
right
being
now.
dramatic. Money's laughing over there. It just becomes different, like time goes on, and life happens. You become a mom, you have chores, you have work. It's not always so like, oh my God, I'm so happy and in love, like it's not.
Damn, I'm happy and in love with you.
I am in love with you, but I'm not like head over heels, like smiling all day long.
Damn. Yeah, I'm gonna skip this.
Someone feeling offended.
It's exposing the truth. All right. So pattern number 3 is that they had been through really dark times together. They had all been through the really difficult periods where they were at a crossroads and even had a second thoughts, but they chose to stay together and work through it. This is established trust.
That's very true. Very true.
It's kind of like what you just said. Like, it's not always just.
No, and like you're always going to be tested in a relationship one way or another. Like the person might, be going through something difficult and they get depressed, and all of a sudden they're not as present with you all the time. So many things can happen in a person's life that can pull them away from you for a period of time. And, you guys can like feel a little distant and, start having second thoughts. Like, am I with the right person? But the reality is that this happens to everyone in every relationship. And this is why you need to be friends with that person. Because if they're going through something tough and you love them and they're also your friend, you're not going to leave them alone. Yeah. You're going to figure out what's going on. This is not like them. Like, let's work through this. You're not going to just want to give up. And if it's something, let's say the person is acting different, also, like, depending, I guess, on how long you've been with this person, if there's kids involved, if both of you care for each other, both of you are going to try to figure it out. Yeah. Not just one person. It needs to be both. It needs to be mutual, because if it's only one person working for the relationship to work, it's not going to work, because you need both people in it.
No, and I would say too, depending on how, like at what age you guys met, because for us, like we met really young, like super young, teenagers. So it's like we even went through times where we wasn't sure if like this was going to work. So it's like those are like dark times, but again, we was also like super young.
Very.
And it's like none of us really had guidance into what life was.
Yeah. And then this is why I've also said in previous podcasts, depending on how old, I'm not saying this is like grounds for like just go out there and like mess up like on purpose. But depending on how old you are when you meet your partner, you need to be a little flexible for them to like mess up sometimes, because it's like you are basically like growing up with this person. Now, if you meet someone and you guys are already in your late 30s, late 40s, if you're doing dumb shit out here, like, I don't know, I don't feel like you have much of an excuse, because it's like you are a fully developed adult, and you should know what is going to get you in trouble and what is not. And what can place you in situations that you shouldn't be in, right? You should be smart enough for that. But, there's just certain situations, there's exceptions to every rule depending on what your certain circumstance is, that you need to be able to decide whether this person is really worth you fighting for, right? Everything is not worth you quitting.
Yeah, especially like if there's kids involved. You know, like we see it all the time where, you know, people end up leaving each other. They have kids, and it turns out like, damn, is it easier to forgive than to start fresh with, let's say, a whole new family and like put your kids through that traumatic problem?
I mean, it's really a case by case kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like it really depends on like what's going on.
Yeah, because there's certain things that I would agree you need to move on from it, even if there's kids involved, because there's certain situations that are very toxic to the point where it's not healthy for you mentally, and it will never be.
It's probably worse for the kids anyway.
Yeah, but there's certain things that, you know, pride needs to be put to the side, and you need to seek therapy, seek counseling, seek, I don't know, someone that you trust to help you guys figure out a better way of living as a couple,
especially like
married.
I mean, kind of like you mentioned, like after 30, it's like, bro, we don't got time to be playing around.
Yeah, but I think that is very important, and that does make situations like that do make relationships stronger, because when you come out on the other side, you come out stronger because now you have a newfound sense of trust in this other person. Now you know that this person is down to do anything to make things better. Yeah. So when you see that both people are putting in the effort for each other to be as happy as possible, it's when you know it's worth it. It's worth it. And so that gives the relationship strength.
Yeah. And dark times doesn't necessarily just mean like
cheating.
Yeah, like it could be financial problems,
right.
Like a whole bunch of things. It's just like dark times.
Yeah, because there's people. That's a very good point, because I think the number one reason for divorce is usually financial. Yeah. So yeah, that's key. I think that's also, I mean, that goes into so many topics.
Yeah, I mean, but it all brings back to what we always say about communication. Like a lot of problems usually happen because there's no communications when it comes to the financial point, which we always preach. You know, having a joint bank account helps, like knowing where we are financially as a family. We are very transparent with our numbers. Like we are one household, whatever is there.
The day we decided to get married, we became one.
Yeah.
And we took that very seriously.
Literally. It's just easier in life.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't fit everybody. So plan accordingly. The next pattern is they let each other be themselves. There was a base level of respect and admiration for each other rather than desire to change each other. This freedom brought out the best part of each of them.
100%. I think when we met each other, we liked each other as we were, right?
I mean, I don't think we've changed.
No. I mean, we've grown up in different aspects. Maybe like our lifestyles have changed because we've grown up and we have kids and we have different goals. I mean, same goals, but like we're on a different level of life.
Levels to the shit.
But our essence has always been the same.
Yeah.
We've never you've always been a caring person. You've always been very loving. You've always been.
No, but I don't even think it just means like letting each other be themselves. Like for you, for example, like you've always been into modeling and fashion and all that stuff. And I was never like, yo, like stop doing that. Like we're married. Like, yo, what you dressing up for?
That is a great point, right? And I'm a very girly girl. I'm always like, I want to do my makeup to go out. Like you've never given me that energy where it's like, all right, you need to get over that. Like you're a mom now. Like you got other priorities. It's like this is who I am.
I'd be like, can you hurry up a little bit? Can you move a little faster? But not like, yo, don't do it.
That's very true. And I guess for you, right? You were always into DJing. I always enjoy. I mean, that's something that we kind of enjoy together. I don't like to DJ, but I like music. Yeah. And then you kind of evolved from that.
But it's kind of like, I think being a DJ was just a byproduct of how much I enjoy music. Like that's the only way to express it. Is like, how do I change songs that I want to listen to? I have to DJ and not go to YouTube. So I don't think it's just like, oh my God, I have a passion for DJing. It's just like
I realize that now, because it's like now you don't do it anymore, but you still love music.
It's kind of like photography. It's like I'm very good at photography, but it's not like I'm going to die with a camera.
Yeah. I've gotten to know about you. What I've learned about you is that you're a very multi-talented person.
Really?
And whenever you just have whenever you have a spark of interest in something, you're going to go full force to the point that people are going to think that you're so passionate about that one thing, right? But it's not that you're passionate about just that one thing. It's that at that moment that sparked an interest in you and you're going to like learn everything about it.
Well, because I also hate not doing things well.
Yeah.
So that kind of drives me to becoming, let's say, I don't want to call it an expert, but very really well-rounded at that task.
Yeah. But overall, you have a very creative mind. I think that's what I would call it. Your mind is very creative. You're very ambitious. So you go after what you want. And when you go for what you want, you go after it full force. Like there's no like, I'm just going to do it a little bit, which I love. Yeah. I'm like that too.
I mean, episode 82.
I'm like that too. So I think that works perfectly with us. And I think that's why this works in perfect harmony, because I accept how you are and you accept how I am, and we're not trying to change each other. We can pinpoint things that we can improve on, that we can see maybe the other person can improve on because we know our potential, but it is not because I'm like, you're not good enough. You need to be different. Like it's not like that ever.
Cool. Next pattern is they had difficult conversations. They communicated regularly and were open to each other's perspectives. They didn't cope by avoiding or denying. Emotional regulation was present, so conversations rarely became explosions.
I think we've gotten better at this with time. And I think that we're actually learning as we speak in terms of that. Because...
Oh, you're talking about the little incident we had a few days ago?
Yeah, because I do feel like there's not many things that we don't see eye to eye on, but
we was fighting, guys.
For example, I don't like to ask for help, right? Because I feel like I'm bothering, but I might need the help.
But this is, we're going to kind of like dive into a little bit of what recently happened. Right? This was like 3 days ago.
I might need the help. And so we're learning how to like, okay. So I can get a little like, nippy.
Sassy.
Right? Where it's like, I'm overwhelmed at this point. Like I'm overwhelmed. Right? And I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I don't do it purposefully, but I'm overwhelmed. And so I start asking questions like, what are you doing? Like, what time are you going there? When are you coming back? Or this or that, right? And it's like I'm beating around the bush to get to one question. And so then...
But you don't get to a question. You get to a statement.
Okay. Yeah, because I need something from him, right?
But she doesn't want to ask for the help. She wants to make it a statement.
Right, because I want to ask him the questions before I make it a statement, because I want him to make the statement, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. So I end up getting really upset, and then I like lash out at him. Well, because I need this, right? And then he expressed that makes him mad, because it's like, why can't you just tell me, babe, I need you to do this and this for me, right? And I'm just, really, the real reason is because I don't want to ask for help. I feel like, sometimes I feel like I need to be Superwoman. And I need to do everything. So when I feel like I'm asking for help, I feel like I'm failing.
But this is what I told you. I was like, I prefer to just be like, for example, this day, we were super busy. I don't know what was going on. And the kids needed to eat before I came to work. So you was kind of like asking like, oh, whatever. Yeah. And then you was like, well, you can't leave until the kids eat. Yeah. Or something like that.
I kind of made it like, well, deal with this because I need you to do this.
Yeah. But she also had not told me that the kids had not ate. And it was like already in the morning. I was already doing
But in my mind as a woman, I'm like, you should know this.
I should know, even though I have not been in the house for 4 hours, that the kids have not ate. So I was like, why don't you just tell me that the kids have not ate? Can you feed them before you leave? Because I'm busy.
Yeah.
And that would solve all 37 questions.
But in my mind.
And I would answer, yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense when we're talking about it. But in my mind, at that point, I was like, no, I don't need to tell you that. They're your kids. I'm not the only one who needs to feed them. But I understand what he's saying. He also has a lot of things in his head. And so he's thinking about all the things he has to do. And he's probably, you know.
No, I literally was not home to see if they ate. So there's no way to know if they ate.
Yeah. I know. But in my mind, I'm like, well.
She's still defensive.
Yeah,
like,
but listen, in my mind, I'm like, but you should be outside thinking about what are the kids going to eat this morning.
I should be doing chores outside, thinking about what the kids should eat.
Well, yeah. So this is what I mean with, you know, we still working through those things because it's like there are times where he could be super overwhelmed. I could be super overwhelmed and we might lash out at each other, not directly because we're not used to like, you know, cursing each other out or like screaming at each other. We never scream at each other. This is why when I do it through text most of the time because I know it's disrespectful and I don't like to raise my voice and I don't ever want my kids to see me raising my voice at my husband. So I kind of lash out in writing.
But that's not, you know, that's why I send you a voice note. Because I was like, let me say it with my voice so she does not read it in whatever tone she wants to read it.
That was very smart.
Because if I would have wrote that,
yeah, I would have read it.
I mean, I was a little stern the way I was saying it, but it was because I was like, I was being honest. I was like, just tell me what you need. And it's easier for me to just solve that problem, period.
Yeah. I think sometimes we just need to get a little bit out of our heads because it's like, for me, I was just like, I shouldn't tell you. Like, I don't have to tell you this. I don't have to tell you. Why do I have to tell you? This is my thought process. I'm like, they're your kids too. Why do I have to tell you? But you know what? It's like you, if you go round and round on this, oh, you know, pointing fingers, but it's you. No, but it's you. But it's you. Just let it go and work with each other because at least, you know, I'm lucky enough to have a man that is even willing to do what I ask of him. You know, like he's telling me, just tell me what you want me to do. Literally. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I don't want to tell you. But it's like, that makes it difficult. So I know that I just need to get over that. I need to get over my pride. I'm the woman. I'm the one that usually women, we're nurturers. So we always have those type of things in our head. And there's certain things that bother us. I've learned this throughout the years that we've been together. There's certain things that bother me more than they bother him. And that are in my mind more than are on his mind. And it's not that because he's a bad dad or a bad husband. Because he's, in my opinion, one of the best dads and husbands I know. But I just need to say what I want. Like, because naturally, there's certain things that come more naturally to me. And there's certain things that just come more naturally to him. So I need to stop expecting things that I would do without anyone telling me, and just say it. Just say what I want, and period. And leave it at that without trying to like understand why he's not thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of expressed to you that day too. I'm like, well, do you know that we need an oil change? Do you know the car has problems? So it's like, there's no way for you to know that unless I tell you.
And I don't want to know that, honestly.
Exactly.
So that proves the point. But it's like, as women also, like, I grew up, I'm a 1990s baby, right? So I grew up, you guys know, I grew up with that mentality of independent woman, you know, and all this stuff, and women equality and all this stuff, which is all great and dandy. I'm all for equality, right? And to be treated right. But because of this mindset, we can make things so difficult sometimes. Instead of just embracing who we are as a woman and as a man, and just working as a team and not wanting the other person to be exactly how we are, because we weren't designed the same.
Yeah. And I mean, I could understand a woman that, let's say you're like, you know, you want to be like the mother figure, and like, you don't want to Like, you just want to do these things instead of asking me for help. But since I'm more of like, bro, let's just get it done. I don't care who does it. Kind of like, let's say chores in the house. It's like, if I need to do it, like, let's just do it. It's not like, hey, this is your responsibility, your title as a woman and the mother. It's just like,
well, there's like a lot of things. Oh my God, this is gonna be a lengthy one. There's like a lot of things that at that point, why I lashed out, it wasn't just the one thing, because sometimes we hold on to little things, right? Throughout the weeks, the days, the months. And then when we explode, it's because we've been holding on to little things. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, I have an attitude, because I'm like, I work. Why do I have to have these things? Why do I automatically have to think about, when am I going to feed these kids? Like, when, have they taken a bath? Like, I'm like, I work too, So it's like, I'm talking to him from a defensive point. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that are going on right now. Like, we're trying to build a business. It's not like he's not working. He's working more than when he had a 9 to 5 at this point. And he needs to make ends meet more than he did before, because he has more bills. We have more bills. So it's like, at that moment, these are the things that can break up a relationship.
If you don't communicate.
Because it's like, the reason why I'm lashing out is not because I don't love him. It's not because I don't appreciate what he does for me. It's because at that moment in time, I was really frustrated and I was overwhelmed and I was sick and tired. And I was like, why do I have to fucking work this fucking job, right? Like, I'm sorry for my language. And, but it's like, it has nothing to do with him personally. Yeah. Maybe a little bit, but most of the things that are the anger is because I've been holding on to a lot of little things. And so, sometimes, you have to get over it. You just have to learn how to communicate in that moment, tell them what is really bothering you, but learn how to see eye to eye, see where they're coming from and the point in time that they're in, and see where you're coming from, and respect each other's way of feeling. That, most importantly, respect each other's way of feeling.
The next pattern, funny enough, says they fought.
They fought.
They got on each other's nerves. They fought, and they were frustrated with each other at times, but they knew how to navigate conflict, bounce back, and move forward.
Voila.
So we don't even need to recap if you're still here.
Yeah.
This is exactly.
Yeah, what we explained. So, yeah, I mean, we've been through those plenty of times.
Yeah. I mean, and it's impossible to feel like you're going to last a lifetime with somebody and not
never
fight. Like, you're two humans and both have different emotions and things going on, like we said in the past.
And at that time, let me tell you, as women, we're so emotional. At that time, all crazy thoughts go through your head. Like, should I be married? Like, is this the right person for me? Like, why did I freaking get married? Why did I freaking have kids? Like, crazy thoughts go through your head. But then it's important. This is why it's important for you to learn how to regulate your emotions, because you are speaking thoughts into your head out of frustration in that moment. But once the frustration leaves, all those thoughts go away. Yeah. So it's like, imagine making decisions based on your emotional state. It's a disaster. And that's what's happening with a lot of women and men nowadays. They make decisions based on emotional impulse. Like, they're very emotional. They're very angry over things. They don't talk. They don't try to resolve anything. Everything is my way or the highway, right? And that's not reasonable. You shouldn't be so selfish where it's like, oh no, it's my way or no way, right? Because everybody in the world is different. You need to find some compromise. You need to find middle ground. And so
I agree. So the last pattern is they made light of each other's quirks. They appreciated and acknowledged the quirks in each other. Even if they were at times annoying, they made light of them, and they were never hypercritical.
I can't think of like a quirk.
Yeah, as I read it when you was talking, I was like, what is a quirk that Jessica has that I make fun of? I don't really make fun of you.
I don't make fun of you either.
Yeah.
I don't find anything like quirky about you. But I think, again, even if we did have things that were like quirky about each other, I think we could definitely laugh about it and we wouldn't get offended about it because we show each other so much love and appreciation that we could tell each other anything and not take it to heart.
Is rolling your eyes a quirk?
I don't know. That's more like a bad habit, I would say.
You just did it.
I'm sorry. It's just the way my face is set up.
Well, that's about it. So those were some cool patterns, and that's cool. I think we've made it.
Yeah. I honestly am at a point.
Oh, shit. The TV turned off. You could talk.
I'm at a point where, I mean, we don't, maybe more difficult times may come. I really hope not, but, you know, life be lifing.
That's my new thing.
Yeah, life be lifing. But I think that we have a very strong foundation.
Yeah.
And
we've built.
Yes,
we definitely have worked on this.
Yes, we definitely have. To get through difficult times.
Yeah.
And I just leave it in God's hands. I pray about it. I tell God, please protect our marriage. Please protect our minds, you know, allow us to continue on this beautiful path together.
Yeah. I think that's like a good, I don't know if it's a separate podcast, but like a good note to say to people. They'd be like, oh my God, your marriage is so perfect and this and that. Is like, well, we actually work on our marriage like every day. So like we don't just sit down here and talk about being perfect, because when we're not, and if you feel like we are, is because we do actually actively work on it. Yes.
It might be, maybe you see us and you see that our relationship may be better than the relationships maybe you may have, or maybe the people you've seen around you have.
I mean, just a little conversation we just had about what just happened. Like, if we didn't have, let's say, this topic, you guys would never know that. And that was something that happened that helped us work in our relationship.
Yeah. I think also something that makes our relationship really strong is God. Like, we have God at the center of our relationship. We got married through church. And for us, that is something that's very sacred. And that for me, I know that a lot of you may have different opinions and you may have different beliefs. But for me, I'm a firm believer. We're both firm believers of God. And I think that every relationship should have God at the center of it. So
with that, we close it off.
Yes. So that's it for today's podcast, you guys. This podcast was a little lengthy, but I think it was a good one. Definitely. And if you're here on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button. If you enjoyed this video, hit the bell so you can be notified every time we post a video. Leave your comments down below regards to these seven.
Not sure.
These tips, right?
These patterns.
Yes, these patterns. If you are on any of the audio platforms, don't forget to leave us your reviews. It really helps us out. And until next time.
Peace.